Hi everyone, have we got any apologies, substitutions or declarations of interest?
There's an apology from Councillor Alfeld. Councillor Quinn is substituting. Could I ask if there are any declarations of interest?
I'll be the declaration in the chat system.
All right, okay, I don't see that. Thank you.
Okay. Agenda today, Inverclyde Local Development Plan, the main issues report. The recommendation is that we move the report for public consultation. Stuart, do you want to speak to the report?
Through you, Convener. Following the decision by the Court of Session on our Homes and Communities chapter, the Council undertook a review of our local development plan. At the meeting of the committee in October, members agreed a development plan scheme, and early engagement through a call for sites has been undertaken. Convener, whilst the call for sites is not a mandatory process, it is an established practice for engagement. 2 member officer working groups have taken place. I emphasise that the member officer working group is only a sounding board, and I thank those members who attended for their support in the process. Decisions in respect of the local development plan rest with this committee and, in turn, Scottish ministers, and hopefully not the Court of Session. The report which you have before you comprises 3 sections. The cover report, Appendix 1, which contains the main issues report, which is substantially complete, and it does have formatting of maps and tables still to do, and there is a typographical error in that Plaintree is mentioned in both Table 2 and Table 4. It should only be mentioned in Table 2. However, I can only thank my officers, Convener, for producing this document in really, really tight timescales. Appendix 2 contains a series of maps. They may appear in some cases contradictory. However, this can be explained in the titles of the map, which indicate where its source was or where it's been produced from. Convener, I make no apology. The document before you is in places controversial. It is designed with one purpose, and that is to stimulate conversation and debate. It is not simply a rerun of the 2019 Local Development Plan. There are new sections which reflect where we are today and the challenges which we face today, and it would not be appropriate to simply review the chapter on homes and communities because we didn't like the outcome of the Lord's decision. The purpose of the report is not to consider the detail contained in the report. The purpose is to consider whether issues are appropriate for consultation. We want to stimulate discussion, and that is it. And if approved, this will happen between early December and the end of the consultation period, which would be the 31st of January. As I said earlier, Appendix 1 contains the MIR, which highlights 31 issues which we consider worthy of discussion. These are structured around the chapters of the current local development plan. As I indicated earlier, there are new issues. None of us could have considered COVID-19 in the last plan, nor its impact on people, but it will also have an impact on spatial planning. We also consider a wider green agenda. The difference between priority projects and priority places can be distinguished by the projects having an area-wide impact. There may be discrepancy between maps. So, for example, the maps contained in the document which indicate Port Glasgow Industrial Estate show the existing local development plan map and also a combination map which has been brought together following the call for sites. Is the inclusion of the open space at the north end of the site appropriate? That is for discussion. In terms of housing, I don't intend to discuss housing need demand assessment, housing supply targets, all tenure, private, affordable, Inverclyde local authority area, the Inverclyde discrete housing market area, the Renfrewshire housing sub-market area, nor the Renfrewshire housing sub-market area, Inverclyde. Nor is it necessary to consider the 5-year effective housing land supply, compound approach, annualised approach, surpluses or shortfalls, or, for that matter, disputed sites. That is all up for discussion. Should we change the designation of the Greenock Town Centre retail core? Should we promote activity of underutilised sites? Is the Greenock Town Centre boundary appropriate? Should the former health centre be used for retail, or should it be focused in the heart of the town centre? Convener, I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay, Stuart, thanks very much. Okay, if we can maybe just if we can use the chat function to get my attention, if you don't mind. So first up is Stephen.
Stuart will be disappointed to know I've got a whole list of amendments here I'm proposing to move. No, I'm only joking, Stuart. I mean, obviously, the sounding board has had some involvement pre-preparation of this plan or main issues report, and clearly the purpose is to go out for consultation and obviously hear the views of consultees. Planners of obviously reflecting that. The sounding board may well be involved again in reflecting that, and another report is coming back. So by approving this document for consultation today, we're clear that we aren't approving the document, everything that's in the document. We're simply approving the document for consultation. I just want that clarity on that. But I do think it would be useful for us to have an all-members briefing on this report during the consultation period, or I suppose potentially after the consultation period, to allow all members to, I suppose, get the chance to question around particular issues and hear responses, and I suppose potentially inform the consideration of the planners as well, rather than as individual members, for example, responding to the consultation process necessarily in detail. So I would welcome, just as I say, confirmation that we're simply agreeing for this document to go out for consultation, so it doesn't have the status as the settled will of the committee, and equally seeking for sort of agreement that we will have an all members briefing at an appropriate juncture.
Stuart?
Convener, through you. The first point about the sounding board, Councillor McCabe, yes, the sounding board's comments are included in the document, and the sounding board has shaped a number of the considerations there, but I reiterate that the member officer working group is a sounding board. It isn't the organisation or the committee which finally, it's got no standing. It's this committee which ultimately has the standing to approve or not approve the local development plan. The MIR statement does provide a material consideration in respect of planning consideration. So whilst this isn't a final document by any shape of the imagination, it is part of the statutory process in forming a local development plan. The time for, however, I would suggest an all-member briefing is when we get the proposed plan. So the proposed plan and the Schedule 4s, which would be the items which we could not seek or we could not achieve resolution, would be when we would want to brief all members. Clearly, having an all-member briefing during the consultation period would, I mean, the whole thing could change because it has to be an open and transparent consultation process. So hopefully, Councillor McCabe, that's answered your questions and it's allayed any fears. Certainly for me, the MIR is very much a discussion document.
I mean, I'm fine with that, but you will be aware that there's been past main issues reports that went out with particular proposals, and because they've went out for consultation, we've had members of the public claim that essentially the members of the committee supported all the proposals within the main issues report. So I think it's important that we're clear that if the committee is happy to put this out to consultation today, that we don't necessarily as individuals support all the proposals within the report.
Convener, through you, I think the recommendation sums it up, and that is, it is recommended that local development plan main issues report attached as Appendix 1 is approved for public consultation. It does not say that members are supporting the main issues report. It's just the consultation for the report.
Okay, thanks, Stuart. Now, next one up was Graham.
Yeah, thanks very much, Convener. It was just a question I tried to get through in my head. West College Scotland Finart campus seems to be a potential move, but then when it comes to the town centre, sorry, a potential move from education to housing. When it comes to the town centre of Greenock, it's kept within the town centre. I just wondered why officers didn't move the boundary from Finart Street from Newton Street to Philip Street, thus taking that campus out of the town centre, if the wish in long term, obviously, if it goes through, would be that campus site would be for housing. I was confused why it was left in the town centre boundary.
Sure.
Convener, it could be excluded from the town centre boundary if that is the will of the consultation process and the subsequent approval process which follows. You'll recognise that what we are trying to do is make the town centre compact. We recognise that there are aspirations for the college, but we also recognise that the college has been at Finnock Street for a long, long time, and they've talked about moving for a long, long time, and it would be wrong to change it on the basis at this stage that we don't actually have a plan for the college. We haven't had engagement with the college, but there isn't a delivery mechanism, there isn't funding, so that's perhaps why we haven't changed it.
Okay, Stuart, thank you. Jim McElhenney, sorry, Jim.
Thanks, Convener. Stuart, there's a number of potential sites from the 2019 plan that has a comment in housing development opportunity remove. I'm trying to find the comment. Remove as housing development opportunity. Are these being removed due to the amount of objections received during the last consultation process?
Jim, there could be a variety of reasons. So, for example, the site could have been developed, or there's further challenges. So, unless you're pointing me at a specific one, Councillor McElhenney, I'm struggling to give you a definitive answer. But there certainly, it is our position at this moment in time that they be considered by the public for removal, as opposed to continuing as a housing site.
Okay, Jim. Okay. Any other questions or comments? You typing away officially? No. If you want to just grab my attention, if you want to, sorry, John Crowther. You can mute, John.
Okay, that's fine. That's me unmuted now. It's just my mother staying up in Larkfield, and quite often I am in the scheme. I just noticed that there's a lot of ground there. That's all brownfield sites. We know that we had the issue with Stills waiting for them to move. That was the shops. So the shops have all been removed in Angus Road and Nairn Road, the tenements in Banff Road, and there's also areas on the likes of Berwick Road that were housing. It's all been cleared. Is that areas that could be included for housing?
Convener, the simple answer is yes. You'll recognise that there is a policy whereby if sites are cleared, and again this is to try and make the area look better, that we green them. However, if it's identified within the general residential area, and Councillor Crowther, you're talking about the shops at Nairn Road, Angus Road and Banff Road, which had the flats above. So they are very much surrounded by housing. They have had a housing use. So yes, they could be used, that site could be used exclusively for residential.
Okay, that's fine, that's lovely. Thank you.
Okay, that's sure. Innes.
Yeah, I'm quite happy with everything. I'd like to move the recommendation.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? No? Okay, can we agree a recommendation on the report? Yeah? Okay, that was reasonably painless. Thanks very much, everyone. Okay. See you later. Right. Thanks now. Bye. Cheers.